Hey folks, it's John. Got something kind of sad to share with you today. If you don't follow along with us on Tank Talk Live every Thursday night at 9 o'clock, you might not be aware that last week we lost one of our Arowanas. It was devastating. It's a fish that I've been waiting for a very long time, and we lost one. How did we lose it? It's very easy to explain how we lost it. We lost it because I'm an idiot, and fish keeping sucks sometimes. This tank has 1/4-inch thick glass lids. They are very hardy, they're very strong, and the entire top of this tank is covered except for a little sliver in the back. It's a little sliver that I left open because of the brackets that hold up the lights here, and because I'm a lazy jerk and I just hadn't gotten to it yet. I want to eventually notch those plastic things, but it's one of those things that I hadn't gotten to. And because of that, I lost one of my fish. So everyone knows Arowanas are big jumpers. If you don't know that, don't get an Arowana. I've known that for 25 years. I've lost multiple Arowanas from jumping out of a tank, and for some reason, I still allowed that to happen. I'm embarrassed by it, I'm humiliated by it, and I'm also ashamed because I know better. And so if you are someone that's thinking about getting an Arowana, be smarter than me. Make sure you have a good, solid lid system on your aquarium. I think when mine start to get bigger, I'm actually gonna drill holes in this metal frame here, and I'm gonna install some type of bracket there, I don't know, to hold the glass on. It's all part of the plan. The Arowanas are still kind of small, so I wasn't worried about them breaking the lids open or anything like that. But I didn't think about them jumping out of a very small sliver. Not them, just one. And something is about to happen here right now while we're making this video. So I will show you this. People see it on Tank Talk Live and they think, oh, it's the cat's fault. It's not the cat's fault. I mean, the fish jumped out. That's what Arowanas do. It sucks. It's one of the worst things about keeping Arowanas. But you know what? If you're a smart Arowana keeper, you know better than to leave even a gap that you think is too small for your fish to get out of. The fish is gonna find a way. They're like octopus. They just sliver their way out. I don't know. But it was a devastating thing for me, not only because I was already very attached to that fish, but also because it was my fault. That hurts. That's a problem when you know you've done something wrong and that's what led to your fish's death. What are you gonna do? And when you're on YouTube, you can't hide it. So anyway, gonna try to make the scenario a little bit better. Rena's helping me out. Lisa wants me to call him Reno now. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to change that. It's like beta and beta. We're gonna go to the fish store today, and we're gonna go because there's a fish store about 45 minutes from us that I have seen a platinum Arowana in that store, and I've been looking at it for a couple of months now, and it might be the one. I don't know. But last time I was there, they also had a couple of really nice, like foot-long black Arowanas. Might try that. I don't know. Let's go there, let's see what they have, and then we'll make a decision. Okay, so here's the deal. It's been about 2 weeks since I recorded that intro talking about how stupid I am and the huge mistake that I made killing one of my arowanas. We have taken care of that problem, and we've taken the steps necessary to prevent that from happening again. But I don't want to talk about that yet, because having traveled to 2 different events in 2 weeks and going all over the country and everything that's been going on for the last couple of weeks, the fish room is a complete disaster right now. So I need to do some work, including doing a water change in this tank. I got to get this place tightened up, and then we'll talk about what I put in this tank, because there's a couple of new things in there. There's been some changes that have been going on and some new fish. So excited to talk to you about it, but I can't talk to you in this condition. I got to clean this up. So let's do that, and then we'll talk about it. The perfect title for this video should probably be taking care of all the problems. Okay, here's the deal. I did the water change, happy about that. It needed it. It had been a week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks since I did one. So I'm glad I got that done. Tank looks a lot better. Fish are happier. Things are great. We're gonna talk about the new fish in just a minute, but there's another problem with this tank that I haven't talked about yet. And it's not that I was keeping it a big secret. It's just not something that ever really came up yet. And that is, we had a leak. Now, it's not a leak in the tank, it's a leak in one of the fittings, the bulkheads, and it's because I just didn't do a good enough job tightening it up. So I didn't know that, though. I thought it was actually something bigger, so I filled it full of silicone. I did all this other stuff to temporarily fix it, and today was the day that I went ahead and fixed it permanently. But there is an unfortunate ramification of doing that, and that is that it damaged the background. Let me show you here. If you look at, you can barely see it because the water's still kind of cloudy, but if you look back there, you can see that all of the paint is gone. And then also, hello, Oscar. Also, the paint back there is gone. Now, the paint there being missing is actually kind of funny, and it's kind of embarrassing at the same time. That's because I was squeezing my fat self back there, and my belly was, my belly was rubbing against that when I was trying to fix this, and that's what rubbed the paint off of there. But anyway, what needed to happen, I just needed to take everything apart and get everything put back together again nice and tight. That's all. The reason why the paint was damaged was because it was dripping down and it softened up the paint and it just kind of flaked off. So I took it the rest of the way off. I'm gonna make sure that everything's good as far as the leak goes, make sure it's all dry before I put more paint on there again. So yeah, that's what happened here. 2 birds with 1 stone. The best time to do a repair like that is obviously when the tank is drained down, because you can't take a bulkhead off if the tank is full of water. So there you go. So feel pretty good about it though. Got the leak taken care of, got the water change done. Everything's great as far as that goes. Now let's talk about the new fish. Of course people are gonna wonder, so I'm just gonna go ahead and address this now. This whole deal right here is because I use those silly breathe right strips when I sleep. Helps me sleep better and helps me to not make so much noise at night, if you know what I mean. Now it's leaving scars on my nose. Anyway, I ended up going to my local fish store. Lisa and I went up there 2 Sundays ago, and we were gonna get that platinum arowana. They still had it, but they weren't coming off of the price of that thing at all. And you know what? I don't blame them. $500 for a platinum arowana. It's an expensive fish. You're always gonna see them up there as far as cost goes. So I'm not mad at them, that's fine. They didn't wanna come off of the price. And that was okay because they had other arowanas. They had silvers and they were a pretty good size. In fact, they were pretty much the exact same size as the one that I had, who I unfortunately killed. So that worked out pretty well, and they were a really good price. They were like 90 bucks each, and that store always gives me a discount, so it all worked out good. The decision though was 1 or 2, and the way I looked at it as, hey, I'm an arowana freak, I'm a crazy person, I like to kind of stretch the rules and see what I can get away with. I decided to get 2 more. I got 2 arowanas that are basically the exact same size as the ones that I got originally. So now I have 3 in here, and yes, the new one is the biggest of the 3. I decided to go with Drogon again, and Rhaegal and Viserion. So now we've got all 3 dragons from Game of Thrones. I feel really good about it. I'm excited about it. They're gonna be fine. There's probably gonna be people that are gonna ridicule me for this, and that's fine, but you know what? It's my favorite fish. I'm gonna go all in on them. And maybe someday I'll have a tank even bigger than this one because my love for these fish goes very far. And that's, I guess, the thing that we need to talk about next. The fact that I love these fish so much, how could I even let this happen? You may have also noticed that there's a different piece of wood in there. Yes, it's true, we did change it up. Just thought that the piece that was in here before looked better in Lisa's discus tank, and this one, being bigger and taller, was gonna work out better in here. So yeah, there you go. So it's no big secret, I've said it 100 times, if not 1,000 times on this channel, that Arowanas are what got me into fish keeping, and they are my favorite fish. There is no debate there. I absolutely love this fish, and I love them so much, I got a giant tank to keep them. But when I put those fish in there, when I finally got them, my dream came true to have these fish. I've had them before, but still, it was a dream for a while. I broke the #1 rule when it comes to Arowanas, and that is making sure that the lids are absolutely 100% secure. Now, my lids are good, and the lids were closed, and they're all in place, everything's fine, but it was that small plastic strip that goes on the back of glass canopies that I had a little gap back there. My fault, I'm an idiot. And I mean, I'm willing to admit that on YouTube. When you have a YouTube channel, you really can't hide stuff like that, especially when I made such a big deal out of getting those fish. We went up there with king and queen cichlids and rack. It was Lisa's birthday. It was an amazing day. We went up there, got those fish, and then one of them disappears. I can't hide that. Although, the fish that I got, if you look at the bigger one of the two, it looks exactly like the one that ended up dying. So I guess if I really wanted to be sneaky, I could have snuck up there, got that fish, brought it home, put it in, and no one would have ever known that it was a different fish. But you know what? I've decided to be completely transparent with you, to share with you the mistake that I made here so that you don't do the same thing and kill your Arowanas. The absolute #1 rule with keeping Arowanas, folks, is you have to keep the lids secure, and there has to be 100% coverage of the tank. No gaps of any kind. A lot of times when you go to pet stores, you're gonna find Arowanas about that big. They can sneak out of a hole a lot smaller than you think they are. I said it in the beginning of this video. I swear they're like octopuses or something. It's a tiny gap, they'll get their way out of there. That's exactly what happened here. The hole in the top of this tank was smaller than the fish. So I don't know how he got through there, but it was the only place that was open. I mean, I suppose there's the possibility that somebody in the family came out here, opened it, and the fish, I couldn't believe that that could be true. There's no way. The kids don't come out here, and they sure enough know that this is not a tank to be messed with. They know how special these fish are to me. There's no way that something like that happened. There's no interference from the family or Lisa or the cat, no. It was a small gap in the back of the tank. The fish went out of that. The fish is now dead. It's my fault, period. End of story. There's no more trying to figure it out. There is not gonna be some humongous investigation. It just is what it is. I learned from it again, and now here we are. I had to go and buy another one, and I have to have egg on my face here on YouTube explaining to you the decision or the mistake that I made, and hopefully you can learn from that and not have it happen to you. I mean, I know I've said that a few times already, but it's true. It's very important to me that I want to make this easier. I want to make fish keeping easier for anyone that gets a fish tank, and in this case, anyone that gets an Arowana. I want to do my best to share with you everything that you need to know about keeping these fish. And unfortunately, that includes some of the mistakes that can be made. So there you go. I mean, do not have any small gap. If you do what I did and you say, well, there's a tiny gap back there, but it's not going to be that big of a deal. It's too small for the fish to fit through, and I'll fix it when I get to it. If you do that, you may end up with a fish hard as a brick on the floor, just like I did. So don't be an idiot like me. Have a nice, tight, fully covered lid on your tank, and then you won't have to worry about this. So there are a couple more additions to this tank too that we haven't talked about. One of them is a common Pleco that used to be in this tank. Did a great job in there, and you know, he was fine in there. They weren't bothering him or anything like that. But when we put this piece of Universal Rocks driftwood in here, it was really dark brown from diatom algae. And in my opinion, the best way to combat diatom algae very quick is to put a common Pleco in there, because they absolutely tear it up if your tank's big enough. And this tank is big enough, folks. So I put that common Pleco in there, and he did work on that thing, and he got it cleaned off in like 24 hours. It was absolutely unbelievable. One of the downsides to that, though, I don't know how much of it you can see on here now, but you might see little bits floating around in the tank. That is moss that Lisa had actually put on this log. There's still little remnants of it, but she put moss on there because it was supposed to look like an actual tree in the Amazon in the discus tank. Well, I knew that wasn't gonna last long with that Pleco, and it didn't. The Pleco basically pulled all of that off and then tore up all of that diatom algae, and I'm still struggling to get all of the little bits of that moss out of here, and either in the filter or down the drain or whatever. But yeah, that's, you can see it. It's floating around in there, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. But I've also got another really cool little guy down in there that's been hiding since the second I put him in the tank, and that is a vampire Pleco, which is about, I guess he's about 4 inches or so. We've had him for a while. We had him in a quarantine tank, and I just decided, you know what? I love that fish. I'm gonna put it in there. And I put both Plecos in there on the same day. We'll have to see how that goes, but there's been no issues with it at all. I haven't heard of them fighting with common Plecos, so I don't know, but we'll see. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But you know what? I've seen them right next to each other, working on the log, and nothing. So yeah, excited about that. If I can get some footage of that vampire Pleco, I will, and I'll show you, but he kind of hides all the time. So anyway, this has been a mess of a video. It's been a video 2 weeks in the making. I am super excited about the new Arowanas that I got in here. I mean, I got 3 of them in here now, and that's a beautiful thing. If I was gonna guess sizes, 12 inches, 10 inches, and 8 inches. Let's just say that. That's the size of the 3 different Arowanas in here. The interesting thing is one of them, they're not even 12, 10, and 8. Why did I say that? It's probably more like 12, 20, 12, 10, and 10, because the 2 smaller ones are pretty much the exact same size. And in fact, when I look at the 2 smaller ones, I can't tell which one is the one I had before and which one is the new one. I don't know, it's weird. But I've got 1 larger and 2 smaller, and I love them very much. And they have been getting along, wow, good job centering the camera, John. They've been getting along very well. Everything's been good, so yeah. Water change done, leak fixed, done. My job here is done. But I do have to repaint that background now. But anyway, it's never finished in the fish room, isn't it? It's, yeah, look how much I'm sweating. Thank you so much for watching this. A little crazy, this video, a little out there, you know, kind of doing things a little bit differently. Next week, we're gonna talk about custom aquariums. That's gonna be next week's Wednesday video. And of course, Lisa has a ton of stuff going on with her 125 over here. And we got a surprise addition to the fish room over the weekend. So yeah, there's a lot happening here, and we're gonna show you all of that on YouTube. And that's it. That's it for me. I'm done. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. I gotta turn the AC back on because look at me. I'm all shiny. My nose looks like I've been in a boxing match. It's been rough. Thank you for watching. See you next week.